I caught my wife having an affair with my son's football coach. I confronted her. We are now heading for divorce. Sorry for the long post. My wife and I are 33, married 11 years. We live in a once rural area that is fast becoming a suburb to a medium-sized metro area. Our high school graduating class had a little over 200 kids, now approaching 500 grads. I grew up on a farm. When I was 6, my mother just never came home one day, so my dad raised me. I took on my farm duties. In other words, I worked hard. Eventually, my dad quit farming. He leased his fields to other farmers. He took a factory job. He invested his lease proceeds into buying up more land. Through the Great Recession, he acquired many properties. On one of these properties, there was a house he gave to me to fix up and start a family. It's in a trust with his other property, but we pay all the bills. My wife grew up lower middle class, a great family that always treated me well. They moved to the area while we were in junior high. We dated all through high school and were married once I had a steady job. Before then, I did everything to earn $1. Need to haul junk out of a barn, folks would call me. Need your house painted? I can do it if you get what I mean. We have an 8-year-old son. She is a stay-at-home mom. Now, I am a route driver for a large snack company. I am close to buying my route from the company. I have more than doubled the size by going into every mom and pop store, grocery and gas station, and selling as much product as I can. I have a large area because the surrounding area is still rural. My plan is to finish buying the route, then it can buy another truck. The plan was to have the wife run the second truck. There is a projected super center grocery store immersion to be built in the next year in my area. If I own the route, it will be mine. If not, the company can split my route, so I need to finish buying the route. We have been married for a couple of years out of high school. Our marriage hit some rocky spots. I think because I put in long hours, I try to be there, but admittedly, I am not. We have had lots of fun and love our boy with every fiber of ourselves. He is the typical boy. He is now into sports. He played basketball in the winter, baseball of this past spring, and is now into flag football. So we hit a low spot relationship-wise in the spring. My wife and I talked about it and each made promises to do better. Late April through mid-June, our sex life went off the charts. We could not get enough of each other. To be honest, I may have been getting too much because I was dog-tired, but still ran my route. My son was playing ball. I never missed a game, but I did not hit all his practices. With most youth sports, the dads take an active role in the coaching and were helping out. I just could not give that commitment. My wife stepped up and helped out when needed. The baseball coach, Ted, is an ex of a very good friend from high school, Mary. She was the smartest kid in school. She went on to college. That's where they met. They married and soon had a son who was also 8. Their marriage hit the skids. Mary moved back home 3 years ago to have help watching the boy by her parents. Ted moved here 2 years ago to be close to their son, and I think to win Mary back. The mid to end of June, we sink back into our rut. We talked again in July and promised to recommit. We take a vacation. Still, the relationship is bumpy. Mid-August comes around and the bedroom heats up again. Then, cools after just a couple weeks, September hits, and we are in a dead bedroom. I beg my wife to talk, but she says nothing is wrong. My son started playing flag football. He loves it. They practice a couple days a week and play on Saturday. I dropped by a practice and see my wife and Ted with a clipboard running the kids through drills. There are a couple of dads helping too. I had no idea she was helping. So I mentioned it when we get home. My son is excited and shouts out. She's not helping. She's a coach. It seems when signing the son up, she volunteered to be an assistant coach. I think it's great. This seems to consume a ton of time. The wife is constantly texting some calls, but generally when I am there, it's texting. They go to Ted's place every day after school, and he works his son and mine out. He's teaching them how to be better, and it really shows as they are the 2 best players on the team. So their first game comes. I work in the morning and make it to the field for the game. The wife and Ted are side by side giving directions. Someone sat a chair down next to me. It's Mary. We watched the game. About halftime, she asked if the wife and I are doing okay. I told her, sure. I look over at her, and she is staring at me. So I asked, what? She said her son came home after being at Ted's. It had been raining, so there was no workout. They spent the afternoon playing video games. Her son went to the kitchen to get more juice and saw Ted and the wife kissing. He ran back to the game and told Mary that night at home what he saw. I get up at 4 a.m. every day to drive 45 minutes to the warehouse to get my truck. So Monday morning, I got up at 3:30 to check her phone. She had changed the password. After a few tries, I figured out what it was, as she uses like 4 or 5 different ones for everything. There I saw text after text, some nudes, so it took screenshots of some. Usually, I have one day that I spend in town. I sometimes would come home for lunch if I took one, especially when there was a lot of sex going on. I got home and she was not there. I called her, but she did not pick up. I drove by Ted's place and her car was there. I finished my route. She told me she was at the store. She was sorry she missed me. Told her I was just trying to surprise her. Not a big deal. The next week on the same day, I again let her know I was coming home for lunch. I was parked down the way from Ted's. How she did not see my big old truck is beyond me. She came running out of Ted's, got in her car and raced home. I followed slowly. When I arrived, she was making me a sandwich. We had a nice conversation. Saturday after the game, I took my son home, had him change, and took him to my dad's. They were going to fish in the pond, and if he wanted, he could swim. I went home. Of course, the wife was not there. So I drove to Ted's. Her car was there. I called her. She was kind of annoyed. Then I asked what she was doing at Ted's. It was just silence. Then talking over the game. I told her to put her clothes on and come home. She swore at me and hung up. When she finally did come home, I was sitting at the table. She again swore at me for accusing her of something. I asked that she sit down. She refuses, getting more agitated by the minute. I told her a little more forcefully to shut up and sit down. Let me say my piece. I had a folder which she asked what was in it. I told her to sit down so I could show her. I started pulling out screenshots of her texts. She went ballistic that I would snoop in her phone. I then pulled out the more incriminating texts. She tried to explain it away, then I pulled the nudes out. She shut up. I told her we were done. I would give her until the following Sunday to be out. I was going to an attorney Monday. Take her clothes and personal stuff. We will figure everything out later. She just sobbed. She said how sorry she was. I just asked a question that I saw on a Reddit advice sub. What did you think would happen when I found out? She had no answer. I have stayed at my dad's since the weekend. I brought my son back on Sunday so he could catch his bus to school on Monday. I had explained to him Mom and Dad would not be living together anymore, but he would still live in his house. I got home tonight, and all her stuff was gone. There was a note that said she would drop my son off after practice. We had agreed she would pick him up after school. She could stay until I got home, or I would pick him up at her parents'. And now it's time for some community reactions. Big Bad Booty Daddy 10 says she'll try to get you back with sex. Don't fall for it. It's not like you all of a sudden became hotter, started making more money. Don't forget to expose the affair. Next comment from What We Have, We Keep. Always remember her immediate hostility when you accused her. She's going to do her best to make you think she would never do anything to hurt you on purpose. But when she was in danger of being found out, her first reaction was to try and tear you down. If you don't make sure your friends and family know the truth, she will absolutely lie in order to make you seem like a bad guy, including your son. It's a tough call to make, because if you tell your family the truth, she'll accuse you of being vindictive. But in order to protect your own reputation and relationship with your son, you need to make sure they know what actually happened. Beb252 says, so sorry you're in this. She's not even remorseful despite you showing lots of evidence of her affair. The question that can never ever be answered is, what will you do if you get caught? Cheaters don't think about the repercussions of their actions, they just act upon their lust and don't care about breaking up families. You should inform Ted's family too. They deserve to know. They deserve to know how pos he is. One more comment before moving on from Nervous Ad 714. Time to get the coach in trouble. And this was not the way to get Mary back. Close your bank accounts and credit cards, put them in your name only. Maybe doctor visit for STD or STI. On to the next story. My girlfriend couldn't sleep last night, and her ex texted her. And I found out they texted for hours last night. When I found out, I told her I wasn't comfortable with it and am now in an argument about it. What do I do? She and her ex are just friends and I trust her. However, when I heard this, I was a little confused as to this course of action that she chose. When I mentioned how this confused me and hurt me, she apologized, and I thought we were over it. However, I noticed she was being quiet. When I asked her what was wrong, she said she was hurt because she thought I trusted her and knew that he was just a friend. I tried to explain how I just thought it was strange to be texting an ex in the middle of the night. However, it seems that this has not gotten my point across. So I just motioned to drop it. How can I fix this or make her feel better? I don't want this to put a damper on the relationship. Ask her advice in this community, you will get responses. Mean Jean Machine says, you told her your concerns and that it made you uncomfortable. She told you that questioning her hurt her feelings. Do nothing. You expressed your concerns. What she does about it in the future will show you how invested she is in your relationship. Trust actions, not words. Mangina Sniper says, how would the average woman react if a man's ex was texting him in the middle of the night? Another thought coming from Nicantelis. She knows she crossed a boundary. If she doesn't want to accept that, Op has a serious relationship problem on his hands. Given that she's playing the just a friend card, it doesn't sound like she's willing to accept she did anything wrong, and that's not good. Bray 117 says a midnight conversation for hours with an ex when you're right there. Yeah, no. Trust your gut. Thunderwood Sexbox replies, I literally had this exact thing happen. She was cheating. I saw the little light coming out of the blanket as she tried to hide the fact she was texting, but I didn't want to blow up and start a fight at night. Should have seen the writing on the wall sooner. Also this I've just hurt you don't trust me. Shtick is the oldest trick in the book. The ace up the sleeve of all cheaters to buy some time and drag this crap show out a little longer.